Hi there, I'm Karen Marie, and this is Psyched Up for Sunday, June 21st, 2020. So, the topic today is we are birthing a new reality and we're in transition. Okay, so I've been guided to talk about the planets and where they are in the skies and kind of the stage and what's going on between all the planets, so how they're talking, interacting with each other, and how that's affecting us. And then I've been guided to play an original song on the guitar and sing at the end. So here's the cast of characters. We had, and I also want to do a shout out to Ryan Troy. Isn't this an amazing painting? Ryan Troy made this painting especially for me. He's a fellow Buddhist friend of mine. Right now he's in Boulder, Colorado. I have no idea where he may be by the time you get this, but you can look him up. Ryan Troy. He's a friend of mine on Facebook. If you guys are friends with me on Facebook, then you guys can friend him if you're interested in a commissioned piece of art or any of the other pieces that he's already made. He's amazing. Okay, so today we had a solar eclipse this morning while we were sleeping here in Austin, Texas. So we have the sun and the moon in Cancer now. We also have Mercury in Cancer, and it's retrograde. So what is this theme about? Okay, so when the sun enters a new sign, it takes 30 days for it to go through that sign, and each sign has certain themes that we all end up working through as the sun transits that sign. So it was just transiting the sign of Gemini. So we were all like up in our heads thinking things, figuring things out. It's moved into the sign of Cancer, which is going to drop everybody down into their feelings and bring the themes of the Divine Mother up for everybody. And so that will be themes of nurturing yourself more, self-care, treating your body better. What are you drinking? What are you eating? How you're moving your body? You're getting enough rest. These things are paramount over this next month. Moon's moving through Cancer for the next couple of days, so it's extra intensity because it's in its home sign. The moon is ruled by Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon is what I meant by that. And so it's about sensitivity. It's about feelings. Mercury is retrograde in Cancer. And so Mercury is our communication. It rules our head. And so when Mercury goes retrograde in Cancer, it's a lot about rethinking about how we feel about ourselves. For one thing, Mercury retrogrades, just a basic prescription for how you deal with Mercury retrogrades is be careful with your words when talking to others or interacting with others. Be careful of your thoughts with yourself, because those things can turn gnarly. Mercury controls communication, transportation, technology, trips, travel. So when Mercury goes retrograde, we can often have breakdown in communication of all sorts, between people in their homes, over emails. I didn't get that email you sent. I didn't get your text. I didn't get your voice message. Like, that's classic Mercury retrograde things. Having issues with our phones, our computers, our cars, also classic Mercury retrograde issues. So Mercury rules the head, and it's in a sign that rules feelings right now. And so it's heightening the feelings. So we've got the sun and the moon and Mercury all really shining the light on feelings right now. So if you're someone who is dealing with your feelings, and how do you deal with feelings? Notice them, breathe, let them move through you, let them see what they're telling you, respond. When we repress our stuff, our feelings, is when we end up with dis-ease that can create disease. One of the energetics of illness in our bodies is this pattern of dis-ease in our thoughts and in our emotions. We're mind, body, spirit creations. And so it's all important. All pieces of us have to be working well together. So what else is going on in the skies? Okay, outer planets, Pluto and Jupiter are both retrograde in Capricorn. Saturn is 0 degrees Aquarius right now. It's also retrograde. It's going to be going into Capricorn as well. We also have Venus retrograde and Mercury. So that's the 5 planets we have retrograde. Tomorrow, Neptune also goes retrograde. That's right. We will have 6 planets retrograde as of tomorrow. So what do you do with retrograde energy? It's a time to reflect, revisit, renew yourself, relax, retreat, rewind. And so it's not a time to move forward. So it's not a time to start new plans or make new intentions, really. Well, new moon is a good time to make set a new intention. And a solar eclipse, like we had last night, is like a new moon on steroids. Solar eclipses, lunar eclipses, all eclipses are portals. There's energy, powerful points where we transform things. And so the one we had this morning, here in Austin anyway, is the second of 3 in a row. That's also especially ominous when you have 3 eclipses in a row. It's the power of the moon amplified. And so we're definitely in this transformational period right now. And so the good news on the horizon for this week is that Venus goes direct on Thursday. And so with all the rest of these planets pulled back, it's almost like an archer's bow. When Venus goes direct, it's going to feel like something gets shot forward. So Venus represents our love, our heart, our passions, our relationships, where we put our heart, our values, what we love, even how we clothe ourselves. So with Venus retrograde, we've been reviewing our relationships. Are we putting our energy in the right relationships? Is this the right relationship for me? Am I being loved in this relationship? Am I putting my energy into things that I love? Do I love what I'm doing for work? Do I love my life? Am I in a place that I love? Like, these are all like Venus themes. And so we've all been having these things come up. Even how our approach to relationships. Venus retrograde can bring in past life connections, and people from your past can reach out and connect with you during Venus retrograde. So that's what we've been under. And Venus goes direct Thursday. It'll still take till the end of July till it gets back to the point it was before it started going retrograde. So we'll still be continuing to clean up these themes for the next month for the Venus retrograde. So, all right, intensity. The intensity on this planet. Okay, so one of the intensity features we've got going on, and I talked about this a couple weeks ago, is Eris squaring Pluto. We've got Mars in the last degrees of Pisces. Mars is a planet of taking action. It's also our ego. It's the male patriarchal energy, or one of the things in the zodiac that can point to the male energy within all of us. It's been in late degrees of Pisces. It's been moving through Pisces. And so Pisces is a spiritual sign. It's the slippery fish. When you get Mars and Pisces, it doesn't really know which way to go, right? And so we've all been kind of like, I don't know. I want to meditate. And also Neptune is there in Pisces. And so Neptune in Pisces, Neptune is a psychic. It's the spiritual psychic antenna planet, but also it can be the drugs and fantasy planet. And so, you know, we've just been all kind of like, I don't know, kind of checked out. And then nothing is like we see it normally outside. It's just going to get worse. Here's the bad news. Okay, and this is why the topic today is that we're in transition, because in the labor process of birthing a human being, there is, you know, when you first go into labor and the contractions start coming in a regular way, and you can actually still, they're not too intense initially at the beginning, but they're like, okay, so, you know, wow, I'm in labor. Wow, contractions. Okay, I need to go to the hospital, or if you're at home, call your midwives. So, and then you move from labor into transition. And that's when the contractions are coming like on top of each other. Baby's really moving into position. It's moving everything out of the way as it's moving into position. It is painful to have your sort of bones and muscles and everything sort of moved aside, not sort of moved aside, as the head comes through a hole that's not really the size of the head. But the people think, oh, that's what's the painful part, the head coming out. No. Once the head's coming out, oh, there's a relief happening. It's when the head is in the birth canal and it hasn't coming out yet that is the most painful part of the whole labor experience. And it's when being able to be present and be able to breathe and be able to not freak out is the most important. So I'm giving this labor analogy because I feel like if you guys all kind of carry this in mind, it'll help you be prepared for the second half of 2020, which is going to trump the first half. And I'm not talking about the president. I'm talking about when you're playing cards and bam, this is going to go down even more intensive than the first half of the year, astrologically. Okay, so I'm a mother of 6, so I'm going to coach you about how to go through this labor process because that's the analogy that I'm using this. First of all, I'm going to go back to my own personal experience. So I have been pregnant 6 times, and I have had 6 healthy babies, 6 healthy pregnancies. I had my first baby natural in the hospital. All the other 5 were all home births, no complications. So, first of all, I want to stop and say that as a practicing Buddhist, I was told when I first started chanting that every time you chant, it's like putting fortune in a bank account for yourself, and you collect it over time, right? And it draws interest from the universe, and it just gets increasing. So that and over time, your fortune really shows up in your life. And so I tell people that I've been practicing Buddhism since 1984. So I tell people that my fortune shows up in the lives of my children and in my 6 healthy conceptions, pregnancies, deliveries, and human beings on the planet. So what's the value of that in this day and age of people having difficulty conceiving in the first place, or difficulty with their pregnancies once they've conceived, or difficulty with the birthing process itself, or difficulty with learning, or other handicaps or disabilities that so many children are being born with these days? What is the value of having 6 healthy conceptions, pregnancies, births, and deliveries? And I nursed them all for years. Like, that's my story. So I'm an expert on this whole delivery thing. So when I went in to have my first child in the hospital at age 23, I didn't know what to expect. Of course, I'd watched the videos and the doctors had told me the blah, blah, blah. But nobody can prepare you for going through labor or birth. Like, you going through an experience that you've never been before. There's no precedent. You don't know what to expect. This is very similar to where we all are right now. Okay, so I freaked myself out mentally. I can't do this. Oh my God, this is how much longer? Like, I flipped it in the hospital after I'd already been in labor for 24 hours, and they told me, well, one nurse was like, it's going to be a while. Oh my God, you don't tell a woman who's already been in labor for over 24 hours it's going to be a while, in a tone of voice of like, you don't give a shit. So that I went over the edge at that point. And was like, I still only did Demerol. I still was a natural birth, but I was psychologically freaked. I did it to myself. I learned that in hindsight, right? Because when I had my second baby, there was almost 5 years between the two. I had my first baby with my first husband. Then I had 4 with my second husband. Within 6 years, I had 4. And then I had my bonus baby, who's 5.5 years younger than the batch that I had with my second husband, because when you have 5, you get 1 free, FYI. Okay, so my hospital birth had freaked me out. But when I started working with my first midwife, Mary Michael, shout out to Mary Michael here in Austin, Texas, she really taught me that the whole labor, birth, all that is a natural process. It's not a medical procedure. And our bodies naturally know how to do it. It's in our DNA code. That if we can relax and trust the wisdom within our bodies and ride with that, of course, breath work is a key piece to it. But that if, you tell yourself you can do it, and you tell yourself positive messaging, it makes a whole lot of difference. So the thoughts that were going on in my head when I was going into labor the second time is like, my body can do this. This is a natural process. Women have birthed babies on this planet for the entirety of this planet. And for most cases in history, it was just something they did at home. Of course, a lot of women died in childbirth and a lot of babies died. So medical procedures and medical things are super important when necessary. My sister needed help with both, had complications with both of her pregnancies. So, but I, like I said, I think that's where my Buddhist practice shows up in my life, is the fortune of my beautiful children. So by the second birth, I'm ready more psychologically. This is a natural process. I'm not freaking myself out. I do know what to expect somewhat. And I also had learned I can't freak myself out about how much longer, because I saw that I had flipped myself out when I did that. And if I just stay in the now, a break comes after every contraction. So if I can just breathe and ride, I also substituted the word pain for wave. Like, if I can ride this wave, I'll have a break afterwards. Not if. I'm going to ride this wave and then I'll get a break afterwards. That's what I was telling myself during the labor process. All right, breathe. Feel the power of the universe. Feel the power of your body with these contractions. What a powerful body you have. Oh, good, a break. And I didn't allow myself to think, how much longer am I going to have to do this? I just stayed in this rhythm. Like when you're sitting on an ocean shore and you can just let go of the world and really just, hear the waves of the ocean lapping on you. So I really just surrendered instead of having any struggle with it. And I had this beautiful experience with virtually no pain. Like, I really would say my birth with Samantha, I didn't really feel pain. But I also was prepared a whole lot differently mentally. I can do this. This is a natural thing. No fear. I'd cleared out a lot of the fear. I trust myself. I trust my body. This is a beautiful process. I'm excited. I've got capable midwives if anything goes wrong. These are and the more I did it and the more I would have a successful birth. I mean, obviously, if I had had complications or horrible experiences, I wouldn't have done it 6 times. So anyway, that's the advice I want to get. So just think of it in labor, like stay right now. Don't think about how much longer are we going to be dealing with this pandemic? How much longer who knows? Like astrologically into next year and on and beyond. Uranus is in Taurus. It's been there 2 years. It's shaking things up. It's also helping to deconstruct things. Pluto is in Capricorn, deconstructing. Jupiter's 1 degree off of Pluto right now, expanding this whole transformation principle. Saturn is our laws on our institutions and how we form things, and that's being transformed. Everything's being transformed. Our life is not going to be looking at all like it ever was in the past. We were moving into a new paradigm, and just as you're moving through a labor and you have no idea what this human being is going to look like or what they're going to be like or what their talents or gifts are, or you don't know. We are rebirthing our whole planet. Everyone on the planet is going through a rebirth. If you resist it, if you fight it, if you struggle, if you knock yourself out with chemicals or other things, you don't get to be a part of the mystical, magical thing of something new that's being born on our planet, right? What's being born is a new paradigm of a balance between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So we're going to really be diving more into the divine masculine when Mars, it moves into Aries, which it does at the end of this month. And usually Mars takes 6 weeks to transit a sign. It's been going through Pisces, so we've all been putting our energies into spiritual things, also deep things, past life stuff, dark, like all this stuff has kind of been brought to the surface. Also, again, gotten in the way of us moving forward because, slippery fish when it comes to moving forward. When it goes into Aries, it's its home turf. Woo! It feels in its most empowered in Aries. Mars is the god of war. It is also responsible for when Mars gets in Aries, people get feel extra pissy and extra angry and extra volatile. Mars is going to be going into squares with Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto. It's going to go retrograde. It's going to park in Aries for the rest of the year. 6 months it's hanging out in Aries. So, like I said, we aren't moving forward. And unfortunately, I really feel like we are heading into civil war. By the time Mars is in Aries and going retrograde, I feel like we could really have an out and out civil war going down in our country, because the system has to fall to the ground. So somehow it has to be dismantled. It would be nice if, a wrecking crew who knows what it's doing takes things apart bit by bit. That's the best way to deconstruct something. But our whole society, the male paradigm, is being deconstructed and reborn right now too. That's within ourselves. So the male paradigm is what? How we support ourselves. It's the structure, it's the support, it's the energy, it's the drive, it's protection. These are all the male energies within us, right? And so we're going to be reevaluating. It's also our ego. Mars is our ego. So we're all going to be taking a deep dive into our ego when it goes into Aries. I'm a triple Aries, so I'm real interested to see what it's going to be doing for me personally. But I think it's going to be a positive, actually. I think it's going to be activating and enhancing the good things about me, and don't piss me off. That's what I'm just going to say. And for anybody who deals with fire signs, Aries, we just can't help ourselves. We're like dragons. If you piss us off, you're going to get a fire. The good news is that just like dragons, as soon as the fire erupts, we cool off really quickly afterwards. So that's the deal. So men with Mars and Aries and the Cancer energy going on, we have to all acknowledge our feelings right now. Okay, so I'm going to suggest 2 helpful tools for that. So these are tools that I use every day. I literally sleep. These are my bed buddies. This is a chunk of rose quartz. Okay, I will often just land it right here. This is like the divine feminine in a stone. Beautiful, loving energy. This is kyanite, spelled Kyanite. When you get little chunks of it, it looks like a piece of butterfinger. It's like flaky like that. I use little shards of it when I do house clearings and stuff, because it's great. It doesn't hold a negative charge. So it clears your auric field, it clears your energy. If you have any jewelry or funky stuff that gets, you get it around kyanite, and it feels better. It clears it. I feel better when I get around kyanite. I will move it around. I will move it to all my chakras, let it clear the chakras, that kind of thing. So an investment in stones, I would suggest. I get mine from Nature's Treasures here in Austin, Texas. They have online stuff. They have the best prices of anybody I found in country personally, and I've traveled around a lot. So Nature's Treasures, Austin, Texas, I'm going to give a shout out to them. Also, you can get polished versions of rose quartz, kyanite. You can make it into jewelry, right? To use, to have it around you. I keep these in the same box that I keep my tarot cards in, to keep my tarot cards clear, and then keep my work coming from the heart. And also just, if I need it when I'm channeling for someone, I'll often hold the stones while I'm channeling, and I'll help, keep my energy clear, keep the energy feeling loving. I'll often hand it to a client if I'm doing a reading in person to hold. Okay, let me take a little drink. Is there anything else I need to talk about astrology right now? So back to the labor analogy. What do you need to do when you're going through labor? Stay in the moment. Don't worry about how long it's going to take. Breathe deeply. Have a really great support system around you. That's really the basics that we all need right now. Don't freak out too much about what's coming ahead. Just do today. What today do I feel guided to do? Listen to your intuition. Listen to the inner promptings. If you need help with that, let me know. Beyond doing psychic readings, using astrology and tarot, I'm an empath, a channel, and a medium. I also do facilitate past life regressions, which we can do over the phone, rebirthing sessions, psychic development sessions. I do groups. If you want to gather friends and do a group of people, then it's less it costs $50 per person to do altogether versus $280 an hour for my reading prices. My website's down right now. We're revamping it. So excited about that. So it'll be back up and running. Who knows? Retrograde. whenever, sometime. If you need to get a hold of me to get a reading, you can send me an email at bringoutthebuddha@gmail.com, or you can respond here on YouTube, make a comment, and I've got assistants now starting to help me spiff and polish stuff, so things should start looking a lot better on the visual level in terms of thumbnails and such like that. Okay, so I'm going to move to take another sip of water, and I'm going to sing a song that I wrote a long time ago called Is It You? It's appropriate for the Venus retrograde theme. And no, I don't have COVID. I did believe I had COVID back in January. It's just allergies living here in Austin, Texas, which I love. That's the biggest downside, that and traffic, to living here in Austin, Texas, is allergies and traffic. Everything else is pretty wonderful. Okay, so if I can get this going on. You were in my dreams again last night. In my dream we held each other tight, and we vowed together we would fight to keep our love alive. Baby, do you think it could be true? I could spend my whole life loving you. In my dream it's what you wanted to. Could it be true? I'm looking for love that's going to last. Looking for friendship that will pass the test of time. I'm looking for love that's going to last. Looking for friendship that will pass the test of time. Baby, is it you? I recall the morning we first met. Talked all day until the sunset. Had the strongest feeling to my core that we had known each other before. Fell into each other's hearts and beds. Thoughts of marriage dancing in my head. Till one day you shocked me with your call and said you were not ready for this at all. I'm looking for love that's going to last. Looking for friendship that will pass the test of time. Looking for love that's going to last. I'm looking for friendship that will pass the test of time. Baby, is it you? 5 o'clock bird, background vocals. Ran into some friends of yours today. Said you're busy working, but okay. Wonder if your soul is being fed while you make your daily bread. I know deep in my heart I'm going to find a love committed body, spirit, mind. Till the day my heart's desire comes true, I will hold the door open for you. I'm looking for love that's going to last. Looking for friendship that will pass the test of time. Looking for love that's going to last. I'm looking for friendship that will pass the test of time. Baby, is it you? promise. Is It You by Karen Marie. Okay, so I think that's all. I think I'll leave it at that today. Remember to breathe deeply and often. I'm going to close with a Sancho today, which is chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo 3 times. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. Nam Myoho